Welcome back to Ribbon Candy Hooking. I'm Deanna. Happy pop-up coffee break time on a Thursday afternoon, early evening. Good to see you. Happy Thursday, everybody. Bit of a makeup episode to make up for Monday's non-episode. It is great to see you on Thursday. Linda B., thank you so much. Kirsten, yes, it is. My book is now in people's hands. It's exciting. Yeah, I'll tell you the highlights of some of the excitement of the last 24 hours in just a second. Melissa, great to see you. Let me change my glasses. I feel like I can't quite focus. There we go. Good to see you. And Candace, good to see you. Good afternoon. Yours arrived earlier than expected. Fantastic. SRR Games. Teddy, is that you? Behave yourself, Ted. He's in the other room. I'm thinking that's him. Colleen, great to see you. Thank you so much. Ryan, great to see you. Happy Thursday. You finished your 1970s latch hook today. Now working on a collage. Artsy day there. It sounds like it is. Sounds like it's super artsy. Good for you. That sounds like a lot of fun. Are you going to send us some images for gallery night? Remember, gallery night, and I can switch back to these if I'm not reading. God, I should just get my eyes checked, right? Gallery night will be not this coming Friday. It will be the following Friday. I will take your gallery night images. I will take them. I want to put them into the show and get it ready for not this coming gallery night, the following Friday night cocktail night. Because tomorrow, our friend, our mutual friend, not the Charles Dickens mutual friend, this is a way more lively mutual friend of ours. Rebecca's coming from Storyteller Wool. She's one of my buddies, and she's flying into the Connecticut airport. So I'm going to pick her up, and we're going to have a couple of days together for adventures. But Friday night, I will be doing an interview with her. We'll be looking at her great work, seeing what projects she's working on. She's also been working on a book for Rug Cooking Magazine. She's on the same schedule that I am. So we have lots to look forward to together and lots of events coming next year, I think, possibly later this year. But it'll be nice to be together again. I haven't seen her since last summer. She is, if you know the brand Storyteller Wool, you know she is fantastic. She is filled with ideas. She is so knowledgeable, so much fun, so nice, so sincere, so capable, talented. She's fantastic. So it'll be great having a Friday night episode with her. I am super looking forward to that tomorrow. And she packed some special things to show us. So that is a real compliment. Uh-oh, guess what? There we go. Chrissy, great to see you. Did the book come, Chrissy? I saw in the thread. I was in such a tailspin the last day, but I saw you said you were sitting by the window because you knew it was on the way, and I thought, oh, that is so nice. Thank you so much. I'm so glad. I hope that it has lived up to expectations. Again, I just want to say I put probably 4 times more content into the book than is in the book. Because we kept going back and forth, asking for different chapters, asking for this, that, and the other. And I can hear you, Ted. Let me shut the door. He's talking to his buddy on the phone. But yeah, a ton of it had to be cut because, as you saw, it's a very thick book to begin with. For a craft book, it's about twice as thick as they usually are. So yeah, so more content for later. And you remembered, Mom. It's just an odd day, isn't it? It's just an odd day. We're going to be at my mom's tomorrow night, so I'm really looking forward to that. But yeah, it's going to be great. Oh, Ruth, I almost missed you. I'm so sorry. I didn't say good afternoon yet. Your book has been delayed, not shipping date yet. Oh, no. Well, you know what I noticed happened yesterday. So this is what happened yesterday. It was very exciting because it was the day that it was officially released on... shouldn't I have a copy of my book? Shouldn't I have a copy of my book? I don't have a copy of my book. I think they're all at home right now. Well, I don't have a lot. I'm waiting for the box to come for the signing on Saturday, so hopefully that's still okay. I think we're on schedule with that. But anyway, I was looking at the book, talking about the book. Where was I going with this? I noticed on Amazon that I'm not bragging, but it is the #1 bestseller in its category, which is fantastic. Not just in the rug crafts category, but in the decorating and crafts category, which is a much broader category. So it's doing very well right now. And a few people wrote last night. I think Rebecca is the one that started it. She got all excited and said, your book is almost sold out on Amazon. And I don't know how many they start with, right? I'm not privy to any of that kind of information. But I thought, well, that must be good if it's like if it's going into single digits and a warning on the first day that it's released, and then they must have replenished last night, but now it's out of stock again. So I'm sure, and I spoke to the publisher about it today because we went back and forth many times, and the publisher Fox Chapel writing and saying, "Oh my gosh, we're so happy that your book is at number one, not like in the top 10, but at number one." It's the best it can do, and a huge thank you to you all for buying it and pre-ordering it and everything, because it makes me look fantastic. So really appreciate that, and everybody's happy right now. So it's just been a lot exhausting the last day, just watching that like a hawk. Why? When I need to be working on other things like the second book and projects, and I'm catching up with orders and all that stuff. But you can imagine it is quite distracting because I'm getting a lot of messages and people who want to just do interviews and stuff for different blogs and different whatever, and they keep forwarding me reviews that it got from journals like the Library Journal that doesn't always review craft books. Some journals that typically do more academic stuff, and they're reviewing it and giving it stellar reviews, all stellar reviews so far. So that's exciting. That's exciting. There was such a long time, as you can probably remember, I was super slumped and depressed and in a very bad place because it was just too much work for too long. All those balls in the air, and there were those moments where I thought, I cannot wait for this to be done. This cannot possibly ever be worth this kind of stress, pain, sacrifice, just trauma and insanity. And now that it's done, I kind of forgot about that part. It is just like Karen Garvey said, it's just like having a baby, really. Not to be disgusting, but the 5 seconds later, it's like, this was fabulous. Let's do it again. So yeah, so thank you all for all the great messages and for supporting the book. I hope that you love it. I had no say over what images were cut. I don't even have a good handle on what images were cut. A lot was cut, so I'll be saving that content for another book. It's not going to go to waste, I'll tell you. After all that, it's not going to waste. All of the chapters were great, but I can think of 4 off the top of my head that were just cut. And I think not because they weren't good chapters or wasn't a good technique or whatever. I think it was just trying to create, with so much content, continuity for this book. So yeah, so there's a lot more, and where that's going to go. A lot of it is so Ruth, it should be coming soon, because I was told by the publisher Fox Chapel that everything moves so quickly on Amazon. When things go in and out of stock this fast, there's more right behind it, and they can ship it like next day. So they typically send it to Amazon to X amount of copies, and again, I don't know. I'm hoping it was a huge number, and then they ship those, and they're responsible for those and all that, and then rinse and repeat. So it should come really soon. I noticed it said shipping in a day or 2, and then it was sold out, but it'll be right back, I promise. And if you're in the area, I'm still planning to I haven't received the books yet, but they're supposed to be coming tomorrow. Cutting it fine, I know, but it just came out. So 2 big boxes of books for the book signing at Madison Wool in Madison, Connecticut on Saturday from 4 to 6. If you're there, it should be a fun party. Darn it, not yet. The Amazon guy is still delivering, so still hope. It's probably on the way. Linda. So you know what I'm going to do with some of the content from the book that wasn't used, right? There were some rug forms that I did that weren't used. One of them was wool applique. One of them is needle felting, right? I'm still going to use that content because I did beautiful projects for these chapters and I wrote all the text. So I'm thinking about how to use those chapters. One of the forms that I did have you ever seen rugs they're more contemporary styled rugs that are made out of felt balls, like dryer balls, 100% felt but much smaller, and those balls comes in lots of different sizes? Well, I'll have to show you that rug. I should have gotten it handy for the show. I'll show you next time. I did a big round rug sewing those together, and it was time consuming, but I have to say probably not as time consuming as doing it in another form. It was a lot of sewing, right? And it was very particular the way you had to sew it so that the stitches didn't show in between. So that was one of the forms that I kind of lamented wasn't present in the book, because I thought of the forms that are present, they really are like, remember on Sesame Street, one of these kids is not like the others. That one was not like the others. So I can understand why that wasn't a good fit. But it was different, and that's why I liked it. It was very contemporary, and that's not really my thing, but that's why I liked it. So what I'm doing with some of these great ideas and project ideas I got started that didn't come out with this book is I'm trying to incorporate them into our Hang on, drum roll, please. I'm a little bit tired. Bear with me. Wait a minute, this isn't supposed to be there. That's where we cut off. Help me remember 156. That was the image we cut off. And come over here. This product went live yesterday and started selling. This will be a limited edition thing for sure. This is an autumn/Halloween advent calendar. And I have got 30 bags, one for each day. They're like little burlap bags, one for each day of September. And these will be shipping in the middle of August, right, second, third week of August. And each one will be filled with autumn and Halloween themed goodies, supplies, and all kinds of stuff, some vintage stuff. And the idea is that once we open the bags from, oh, yours is out for delivery, Kirsten. That's exciting. Once we open the 30 bags, we will be at October 1st. And for October, I know a lot of us are Halloween fools, right? A lot of us are. I certainly am. For October, the whole month of October, the theme is going to be Hocus Focus. We're going to be really focused on learning new projects, doing new projects, sticking with stuff, and trying to see some projects through. Hocus Focus month, right? So I want to do a whole bunch of fall projects at that point because I don't want to say lady of leisure. That sounds way more luxuriant than it actually will be, but I won't be feeling like this kind of a thing by then. So I'm really looking forward to enjoying fall for the first time in a couple of years and taking it a little bit easy and working on some projects with you. So those advent calendar bags will contain bits of projects that I will be putting up free videos and patterns for the entire month of October. And one of the things that one of the bags will contain is a bunch of those felt balls. And I have a nice color set for them. And we're going to be making like a small trivet or like a little, trivet, right? Like a coaster trivet thing for a pan or whatever, for whatever you want it for, a mug rug. We're going to be working on a video of sewing those together. And if you get the autumn calendar, right, and the link to that product is in this video, right, 30 bags to open. The balls will be one of the many things that are in there and one of the many videos that will happen in October when everything is opened and we're looking at our stuff and going, okay, so what am I going to do with this stuff? I have a bunch of projects for you and it's going to be a fun month. Hocus Focus month while we head into Halloween and learn a bunch of new skills and just focus on some new forms of rug making, some easy stuff, just putting more sort of eggs in our basket, right, and beefing up our wheelhouse of skills and knowledge, right? So that we're able to do whatever we want with it. And if it's still rug hook, great, or latch hook, great, but I want to do a bunch with new techniques, and I think that'll be the perfect time to do it. Oh, Doreen, it's at a weird time. I'm not surprised. And, I just wanted to catch up today because I feel like I had something else to say. It'll come. If it's important, it'll come to me. And if not, it was a lie, right? So there's Graham talking through my mouth again. I wanted to catch up a little bit since I didn't run a Monday show, and it was a cracking weekend. It's so nice to go have a road trip and to meet buddies and people who I see online and I don't get to meet in person. It was a lot of that this weekend, and we just scraped the surface of that fantastic trip from last Thursday to Sunday through Pennsylvania, Maryland, and Delaware. And we only just scratched the surface, so I wanted to come back to that today. I took some great photos. I found some treasures. I made some new friends. What more could you ask for, right? So I wanted to share some of that with you because some of the finds I made were interesting. This is where we left off on yesterday's episode. I was heading toward Baltimore. And I had this idea in my head. Now, do you remember this? And if you're local, you might remember this. I don't think Lisa's logged on because she's quite local. Years ago, and I know I mentioned this probably 2 years ago on Coffee Time. Do you remember this thing about Baltimore where it was a folk art? It was a massive trend just in the city of Baltimore. There are videos on it. I posted a video at one time. I can't remember if it was on my private page that you are very welcome to join. It's just pictures of me and my kids. Or if it was on, I don't think I would have put it on the group page because I was just kind of building the group then. I wouldn't have done something that different, I don't think. But it was a video that is readily available online about this folk art of sort of old timers in Baltimore painting their window screens. Have you heard about this? It was years ago that it was very, very popular. And apparently the genesis and the video, there's like documentaries on this, but they're all 10, 20 years old at this point. So that's foreshadowing because it didn't go well when I was looking for these windows. But I had heard about these Baltimore windows. I'd heard about them a long time ago, and I thought, talk about folk art, right? This is so cool. They're so utilitarian because people need the windows open because it's dangy hot, right? But at the same time, they don't want you to be able to see in because it's a privacy thing. And people were in huge numbers painting the screens on their window. And it sounds crazy, but it's like what they do on buses now, where they can see out, but you can't see in. And what you can see from a distance is like a screen that's painted, despite all those little holes, really looks opaque and perfect, like a painting. And there was this whole culture of older guys, mostly guys, in the middle 20th century to like 1980s, like that kind of window. It was extremely popular. And there were a lot of people who someone would just come knocking at your house. Can you paint a screen for me? I love your screens. You're obviously amazing. Can you do a screen for me? And I have to say, and I don't mean this in a negative way, but it was like in the videos, it looked like Bob Rossville. It was a lot of that kind of style, but screens were being painted quickly, right? Just boom, 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 so that everybody had the kind of screens they wanted, a landscape, whatever. So I was super interested in going to Baltimore to see if these screens were still there, because I thought, ooh, it's just another branch of folk art. Maybe I'll get really inspired and see some patterns that I can work with, or do something that reflects like this great Baltimore story of the history of the screen paintings. Because I also read while I was traveling over there, remember I was in the passenger seat, that the tradition goes back to like the early 20th century, I think it was, where a Polish immigrant, a grocer, came to town and was setting up a grocer shop, like a little corner shop, and did not have the money for advertising. So on his screen window, he drew a bunch of fruit, like bushels of bananas and stuff. And it became very popular. People noticed it, and he was asked to paint more stuff. And from there, more and more people had their windows painted. Now, you probably know where this is going. We drove to Baltimore, and I could hardly find any screens. It was really disappointing. And I realized it had been a long time since these documentaries. It had been 10, 20 years. But I thought surely such a vibrant, beautiful, and unique custom would carry itself through the ages, right, on the coattails of the first people who did this, but it really hasn't. And I found a couple websites where they show you a map of the streets where most of the screen paintings are supposed to be. And we parked the car, we parked the car, walked around, found a few screens that I'm about to show you, drove around because it was pouring rain, right, rainbow, and then it started raining again. And we found a few screens, but I was really disappointed. Oh, Karen, good to see you. I was a bit disappointed because I was so hoping that I would be showing you like this incredible carousel of images of screens. So like this one, it's hard to see. It's all abstract, but this is quite good. So there's 2, 4, 6, 8. Who do we appreciate? 10, 12 screens on the second floor. This was the building that I found that had the most screens. Really, really beautiful. Judy says air conditioning has many has made this format outdated, I guess. I didn't even think of that, but I bet you're right. And it getting hotter and hotter too, right, Judy? Like every year it seems to be hotter and scarier hot. And I bet that is it. I bet that is it. Yeah, I bet you're absolutely right. The breeze isn't just coming through anymore. It would be very impractical because these are people's homes for the most part. I wasn't really seeing it in businesses. This person had quite a few. They were on a first floor. They had quite a few screens, and these were all landmarks. I don't know Baltimore that well. I thought this might be Philly. I was thinking this might be Liberty. Like this looks like something on top of the state building, that kind of thing. But I have not been a tour guide in this area for many, many years. And I'm ashamed to say I never knew this area that well. I did find out, I don't know if any of you recognize this character on this screen, but I did find out from Googling, I kept seeing this face and I thought it was the Pringles face. I thought that was like a monocle or something. And it's not the Pringles face. This was a brand of beer that was manufactured and very, very popular in the 20th century. And the company's only been out of business for like 10 or 15 years. And I forget what the company's called, but I remember that this guy was called like Ba or Bo, B-O-H. And I remember that because it's kind of strange. It's a strange name. It's not super memorable. But everybody in this area seems to know this character. And I saw lots of clocks and stickers and stuff at vintage stores that had this character on it. But this particular house, it was a hard time of day too because it was right before dinner. It was actually much later than that. We had just recorded with Colleen in Maryland, and then we came. We were still in Maryland, but we traveled for about an hour to get to Baltimore, and it was getting a little bit late. We had an appointment. We had an appointment to drink at the Annabelle Lee, but and to get a little bit of food. But yeah, it was a weird time of day for doing photography. But I did find a few. These were the only ones that I found, and they are lovely. Domino Sugar, I noticed when we were driving. I noticed the factory in Baltimore, and I thought, oh, I didn't know Domino was here. But this was my favorite screen because I recognized it and I had seen the thing. And then, there were some beautiful murals in Baltimore, I have to say. This one had a lot of graffiti off to the side of it. It made me just want to backhand whoever does this stuff because I think that this is the artist Tommy DePaulo, right? He passed away a year or two ago as well. I think he was Brazilian. I think he was Brazilian. Very sort of Christian, really wonderful and prolific children's book artist. And yeah, he was amazing. These look very, very familiar. It doesn't mention him on the mural. It'd be a very large form of like copyright infringement because he is not out of copyright. His estate holds his copyright. But Natty Bow. Okay, Colleen, Natty Bow for National Bohemian. Oh, I see. So the bow is for Bohemian. Okay, now it makes sense. I must have been overtired because I must have read the name of the beer, but I still didn't get that that was the BOH. Ding dong. Nobody's home. Nobody's home. It's I'm a vacant cuckoo clock right now. Did you ever hear that great Kurt Vonnegut line? I forget which one of his stories it was. I won't say the bad word, but it was something like, these two old friends who used to date used to have this routine that drove their new partners crazy, where whenever they would see each other, they ran through this kind of who's on first thing, but it went on and on and on, and it was a bunch of one-liners. And one of the one-liners was, the girl said to the guy, she goes, "Oh, so I forgot, what is it you do for a business again?" And he said, and I'm not going to say the bad word, but he said, "I clean the poop out of cuckoo clocks." And it just went, and there's been a couple times in my life since then where people go, "What do you do again?" Because it's not clear at all. And I got to say, I clean the out of cuckoo clocks. It's a great comeback when people are riding your, pulling your chain or whatever. But reminded me of that. This was just a beautiful city for murals. And this was, I think, my favorite one. There was another pretty one I hope I took a picture of. Sharing the road with you here. Hold on, let me find my way. Yep. It was a bit Edgar Allan Poe. Oh no, this was my favorite window screen. I caught this one later and it was dark by then. It was just the one B upstairs in the window. And I thought it was a yellow house too, like a yellow building. This was all city, like city living for sure. But I thought this was super, super pretty. And what I really loved about it was it had the feel, like in my memory, seeing that video of people with painting the screens, they had a bit of a folky, kind of amateur feel. And this has that same kind of feel. And I thought, oh man, this is just so charming. But you know what, Judy, I think that it's a screen propped up in front of a closed window, probably because the air conditioner is on. So I guess that is the deal. You just have to figure, it looks like they maybe nailed it up permanently, just the one. It'd be great to have a place there and go up in the attic or basement and find all the screens, right? From like who knows who painted them from years ago. I just thought it was such a romantic idea and such a great example of folk art, right? So this is, I think, a reference to Edgar Allan Poe's The Raven. This was down a little alleyway right near this pub called the Annabelle Lee, which the pub was a beautiful little corner pub, very sweet. Didn't really have anything to do with Edgar Allan Poe. Of course, he was from Baltimore, but he also lived in Philly, and there is a house that when I went there touring maybe 10, 15 years ago, was pretty gutted, but he did live there, and it is exciting. And he also lived in Providence, and that's where his cousin lived, who was his great love, right, Annabelle Lee. That wasn't really her name, but and I loved going to the pub, even though it had nothing to do with Edgar Allan Poe, because he's one of my favorites. I love I love what he created, the first detective story, right? The what was the one called? I almost said what the giveaway was, but it was the Purloin's Letter. I think that's what it was, and the first detective, right? But he's such a misunderstood person, and that's why I love him so much, because he was in his lifetime a huge drinker, I'm sure, and like drugs, right? Whatever was available, absolutely. But an awesome, nice person, and a person who did a lot with literary magazines and bringing a lot of new people, younger people to writing, and being a huge sort of advocate and mentor for so many younger writers in his lifetime. He was so gracious and kind about welcoming new writers and having them submit work. He edited a lot of different magazines in his lifetime. He was like the real deal. He was a super businessman. His personal life was tragic and troubled, and there was a lot of abuse stuff happening. It doesn't make him a bad person, does it? And he was actually a really, really kind person. So it's always fun seeing things that have to do with him in his life, because I think he's one of the really great misunderstood people, because he wrote a lot of beautiful romantic stuff besides scary stories. Now, oh no, this was the morning of, so I have these out of order. I'm sorry about that. This was the morning because Colleen, this is where we were first thing in the morning, right at 9, the meeting of the Wilmingtons. And let me bring my friend Cindy down. There she is. I want to show you what she's talking about here. I have a better picture of her. She's one of my buddies who came up last year for the Florence Griswold, and yeah, I was very, very happy to see her. She'd been working on this because she just took a trip to the UK and did a bunch of adventure stuff in the UK. These tours where you make lots of fiber stops. So we were talking about that a little bit, and I want to talk a bit more about that with her and give you a fuller report. But this is one of the things that she was working on. And what's going on here is that we're looking at the bottom picture, right? She's working on the one closer to her, but the cottage, right? The super English cottage, it is actually punched directly into a piece of wool. And yeah, this is something that you can do. You can punch into pretty much anything. But as she said, great reminder, if you do punch into, for example, beautiful hand-dyed wool like this, you will get, doesn't this remind you of the embroidery of the 1920s, 1930s, these little cottage scenes with so many rainbow colors in them? It really has the feel, that whimsical, romantic, beautiful, little bit of a Thomas Kincaid sky, right? That beautiful feel. She brought back so much information. I'm going to have a sit down with her, Colleen, even if it's over, the video, to hear more about that trip, because I heard bits and pieces, but I needed to dig in for a few hours, just focused on that whole timeline. But she punched this, and her reminder, her tip, and it's a big one, when you are punching into something like wool, you have to be really careful, because whether you're using your regular punch or your fine punch, once you make that hole, this is not a woven, right? It's a hole. So if you put something in and then you pull it out and you decide, yeah, I don't like it after all, you have a hole. So can you punch something else into the hole and make it 100% all right? You absolutely can. Yes, do that. But, it gets tricky if you make lots of holes and then pull them out, because this is not a woven. So, yeah, you can absolutely punch into it, but just be a bit more thoughtful. It's like doing the crossword in pen as opposed to pencil. Do it in pencil, Just be careful and thoughtful first, because if you end up pulling a lot out, it's going to be you can salvage it for sure, but it's going to be a lot of work to salvage it, because you're going to have a lot of actual holes, and it will not affect the integrity of it when you fix it. When you add more fiber or change things, you can always quit the punching and pull through fiber. Let me show you this piece a little bit. Wait a minute, let me see. Hold on. If I took one closer of it, so you can see how down at the bottom of the house. What a beautiful piece, right? Down at the bottom of the house, she's got the almost roving type, very lightly spun yarn, very silky, high luster. She had replaced that. So it made a lot of sense. She'd taken some out and put some back in. But if you got into a situation where you were thinking, yeah, I don't know that I meant to do that, now I have a bunch of holes, you can always switch to hooking, right? And just flip over and pull through some beautiful mixed fibers like this, like uneven, nubby fibers, because you will never see that you changed your mind and you're filling the spaces in, which is all you need to do, just fill the spaces in. It's not going to affect the quality of the backing cloth or make it vulnerable. You just need to fill your holes that you made. So beautiful punched piece, and a great reminder that of course you can punch onto denim or wool or anything, velvet, right? A lot of people in the Victorian period did what was called feather tufting, and they punched onto velvet cushions. And Bob's your uncle. There you go. It's just the way that it is. If you make mistakes and there's holes, there's holes. You just have to figure out what to do. But great, great background. And this was Cindy's birthday, which was really exciting. And Dee, one of my other great buddies, had bought her this frame. Like Colleen, what was Cindy and Dee saying this was? Like, they weren't calling this Black Forest, because I always call this kind of frame Black Forest. They were saying Adirondack, right? They were saying Adirondack. I think it might be like a regional thing, just calling this style by a different name. Because in New England, I think we mostly say Black Forest for this. But Adirondack makes a lot of sense too, right? It's very sticky, like sticky, not sticky, but sticky. So Dee had just found this frame, and she said, "Listen, I was thinking this might be perfect for your piece," because Cindy was looking for a frame, and she put it over there, and they almost both started crying because it was so perfect. And I thought, speaking of cuckoo clocks, right? Doesn't this remind you of a cuckoo clock? I mean, the wood, it's so beautiful. I can't think of a better frame than this. And it's absolutely the perfect size, isn't it? I can't think of a better frame than this one. It's just absolutely beautiful. So that was exciting. Here's me and Cindy together. She's such a love. She's such a love. I just love seeing her. Pretty sparkly eyes. She's such a lot of fun. Now this is going to be a to be continued, and it's going to be a little while. So here I'm talking to Margaret. I was chatting for about probably the better part of an hour, because she put these two rugs of hers down on the floor, and I got down on my hands and knees and was just at them for a long time. And I have to say, there is a backstory to these rugs that is so beautiful, and it's a big story. And she's got 2 more rugs in progress, and it's a series of 4, and she feels she's done with 4, and you'll know why when I fluff the whole story out. But I'm not going to tell you the whole story that she was telling me. It's an absolutely beautiful story, super tearjerker, but me too, Kirsten. So she said as soon as she's finished, she's going to give me a call, and I'm going to drive back down there, and I'm just going to do just like I did with Colleen, just visit and get my fill, get the whole story, get it on video for all of time, so all of us can enjoy it. So this is a to be continued, but these are remarkable rugs, and there is a really fantastical backstory to this. And to Margaret herself, she was really such an interesting person. As a Pro McGowan certified teacher who done so much teaching work, she really is one of the, if not the first pioneer to really strike out and work in different materials, work in different cuts, work in different styles. And her story about, just digging in and going against the grain and swimming against the other fish was just a remarkable story. And it had shades of conversation we often have here on this channel about the whole kind of battle to separate the idea that, this is better than that, and this is more than that, and this is worth more, and this has more value, it's more artistic. No, it's not how it works. And she is living proof. She is one of the first people to have this incredible heavy background in training, and to be so good and so skilled at all kinds of rug making. But she really wanted to follow her own instincts and her own sense of artistry and self, and work in styles through the years with materials that were non-traditional. Nothing about her work is traditional. So it's just kind of fun to hear that story firsthand from someone who was like, oh, there were struggles. I'll tell you, there were struggles, and there's still struggles. So we'll get that whole story, because I really want to dig in to the story of her life as a teacher, and collect some of her stories, and particularly the stories about how she loves doing all kinds of hooking, right? She loves it all. She doesn't have an opinion that something is better than. She just really truly believes, as I think most of us do, that if you have an inclination to work in a certain style, you have to work in that style. That's you, right? That's you. And as soon as someone starts getting between you and your work with their face, telling you, I just got aggressive, telling you that it's not right, or it's not correct, that's a problem. That is the problem. It's not which style you choose. It's someone getting into your face and telling you what you're doing is not worthy or enough or as good as. That's the problem. So she had a lot of stories like that right out of the gate. And I was just like, so much history coming at me. I said, we have to just make an appointment and sit down when it's quiet, because it was noisy in there too. And I said, I really want to collect all of this so we can all hear the same story from your mouth and look at your pieces in, incredible detail. So we'll do that as soon as she's finished with the last two of the face series. And then I had the great pleasure of going outside with my good friend Shannon Carter. And she is taking over the Van Gogh exhibit, which will be up in Baltimore. There will be more. I'm sorry, not Baltimore. It's Delaware. It's Delaware. I'm sorry about that. She will give us all of the details. And I will give them to you before the event opens. It will be later in August. She now has all the rugs. Some of the people at the Guild got a sneak peek of some of the rugs and the full exhibit. There are more rugs coming. If you're working on yours, just let us know. You'll send it Shannon's way, not my way, because they will be going up there in a few weeks, but you still have time. You definitely have time. And yeah, it was just great visiting with her. She brought two of her family rugs, and this is one of them. And we were looking at them in some detail. It actually had a lot of, it was in absolutely beautiful condition. This is one of the best original rugs I've ever seen. But it did have some loss. And I said, I'm hoping that she comes to visit me in the next few weeks up here, because our mutual friend Linda Ann is coming to visit me in August. And it'd be great to all three of us get together. And I said, why don't you bring the two rugs so we can, number one, look at them, and number two, repair one of them, right? Because I have not done a repair video yet. And this would be a great rug to repair, because most of the damage is splits and little holes in the center. We're not seeing with this particular super unique and beautiful family rug, we're not seeing a lot of damage around the edges. So I figure tackle one thing at a time. If we do several of the same kind of repair and do a video of it, that could be a really great, fun, and useful video for everybody, right? So I said to her, I'm loving these rugs. I felt like it was about 140 degrees outside in the parking lot. So I was enjoying looking at them and stuff, but I want to sit down with them in the cool and really take stock of where the damage is and the best fixes for all of the bits and pieces that need a fix. So I was just playing around with it here. There were lots of different materials. It really was a remarkable rug. There are actually two. Okay, so there were two. So one of them was the one, okay, I was holding, this is the second one, this is the floral. And you will see these hopefully in the next few weeks. And this was the geometric. I mean, talk about a gift, having two, like, original family rugs in your family. This one obviously has a braided edge as well. So beautiful. What a gift. I mean, they're both, neither commercial rugs. It's just so much fun to see these. And then we left there and we headed, I forget where we were headed at this point. We were running around. We were doing some videos in different stores today, I think. I'm out of order with the days, but it just struck me as, I think we were around, I want to say Newcastle around here. I'm not sure what town we were heading into. No, it's not Fredericksburg. I'm so bad. It says welcome to downtown, but it doesn't say where. I took some photos because the art was so pretty, but we found a wonderful antique store, and I found a lot of cute stuff in it. And I took pictures of it. I didn't need the stuff, right? So I took pictures of it because I thought we could talk about it here. Beautiful small punch needle piece, right? The mini punch has been super popular lately. I put Split Bloom Garden back into stock. If you don't have time for the class, if you don't have time to receive the kit and whatever, if you order it, for example, tonight, I'll just have to run a second class. It's not a big deal. But it's been real popular, the mini punch. And I also have the mini punch of Fluffy with the watermelon, right? I'm sending those out as well. Oh, you know what? Let me grab that because I want to show you. Hang on. I'll probably do a video of this, but I want to show you, when I'm going to come to you here, this mini punch thing. So the Split Bloom, this is the Split Bloom, and I don't have the kits here. I've sent the kits out, and now I have more supplies coming. I'm going to send some more kits out. But that one came with the square frame that was 11 by 11 and the punch, right? And I was fooling with the punches. Everybody's got a great punch. The first 20 or so were vintage, maybe 30. And the second kit is this little guy here, right? Fluffy has watermelon. So I haven't done this one yet, but it comes with the piece on weaver's cloth, and you can see that it's numbered. And I'm going to show you this in better detail. And for this piece, this will be part of the hook along. So this is available. This is shipping now. The hook along, I think, is on August 5th, something like that. And this comes with this ring of colors, and it's totally different colors. So if you're ordering this, this is what you're getting. Oh, I didn't put the thing on weaver's cloth. So the pattern will be in there, right? This thing here, the pattern will be in there. The pattern is all numbered. And I'm trying to do this in a different way than I've done others. You get the piece of paper that says about this, the story of the Maud Lewis and the Fluffies and all that, and then real particular notes about, oh, for the tablecloth, the colors blah 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 are meant to be like hit or miss. You can do checkers or whatever, but these are the colors for the tablecloth. Some of the colors are set, like the cat is white, the sky is whatever, lilac. That's all set, and the colors are numbered here, right? But this tells you the colors that aren't numbered, like where could I put the whisker number without it getting all messy? So down here it'll say, like in the middle one, like the whiskers are the dove gray, like the number 8. The seeds for the watermelon are black, like the number whatever. And it gives you all the details in here about that. And so it comes with your pattern, with really clear description, and with the new ring of colors. So this is the next color set for Fluffy, and it's these little plastic, reusable, right? They're plastic because I'm hoping that you reuse them on the coil. It's like a key ring of all the colors that are in it. And there are 3 extra colors in case you want to swap out colors for the clouds or whatever. But I have measured these, and I've put a lot of extra into these. So this is the color plan for Fluffy, and I'll do a little video of it too. But and you just unwind this to get your cards off, and you can pull right from it, and then you can reuse the metal cable and the plastic cards. So I just think I'm very happy with the way these next sets are going, because I feel like it's really clear and it's a lot of fun, and it's easy putting these together. And the hook along, this set does not come with the frame, but a slightly smaller frame, because this is a slightly smaller piece, right? There's a frame set that is available on Ribbon Candy Hooking that is a punch with a smaller frame that's, I think, 5 by 6, and that will fit him perfect. No, it's 7 by 8. It's 7 by 8. He is 5 by 5. So there's quite a bit of space around it. It's another square frame. So that's the way he's packaged. That's the way he looks. Mini Punch has just been super popular, and it's so much fun. I'm just loving doing it, honestly. I'll always do everything. Ryan says, fall calendar, so fun. Loved last year's. Maybe I'll challenge myself to hook a second piece using only the given material. You killed it that was like one of the greatest inspirations. And you gave me the idea. I said this on yesterday's show. Ryan, you gave me the idea of thinking about what I was putting into them so that we could have projects later. And in my mind, I've got 3 completely set projects that'll be a product that we can do together in videos. That'll be a product of those advent calendar bags. So it's going to be a lot of fun. I've got more brewing, but there's 3 things that are not rug hooking that you can do with these bags that I think will be super fun and different. I think you'll enjoy it. Oh, good, Bonnie. Thank you so much. I'm glad to hear they're arriving. It has been forever, hasn't it? I mean, because the book was taking forever, and they kept asking for more content. I don't think they'd done a rug book like this before, and with so many different styles, of rug making. And I think it was a bit like, oh, well, I think we need one that uses quilt cotton, and I think we need one that has this kind, and kind of trying to represent one of each. And at the end of the day, there's no way. I did all of the chapters, right? And I ran over so much, and that's why I was so stressed and like just down at heel during that time, because I wasn't putting new products out. I was exhausted. I was miserable and depressed. It was a lot of work because I put out all these extra. But at the end of the day, it's worth it. It's going to be worth it, and that material will not be squandered. I know a lot of you sent me images that are from chapters that were cut. You know that I'm going to use those chapters for the next project, so you never have to worry about that. Nothing goes to nothing. No photos left behind, no projects left behind, no people left behind. We're going to use it for the next project. It's just I'm in book machine mode, like instead of baby mode, I'm in like book mode. So we're going to catch up with all of it, but it was just a titanic effort, and it is seeming to end a little bit better. than the Titanic. So beautiful. I guess donkey. Could be a bunny. Okay, maybe it's a bunny. But cute little punch needle in a new distressed frame. I thought that was real cute. I saw this beautiful big rug mounted. I can't remember how much it was. I feel like it was $4.50. It's probably on that tag. Maybe you can see it better. But really pretty. You know, the thing about this rug, again, it's mounted on a stretcher, so it's very, very safe. Will last all of time. The thing about this composition that really struck me was, and you tell me if you feel the same way, it's probably, I would think 1930s, something like that, 1930s, 1940s, has a little bit of fading, and it gives it a bit of a hit or miss feel in the grass with the kind of swirly stripies. Because I think there is color loss. I think it was used. I think it did have sun exposure. Don't know if these are aniline dyes or natural dyes, but there has been color loss. It's not ancient though, is it? And that dark black background is very much intact. Makes me wonder if any of that has been rehooked over the years, because none of that is lost. Usually if you're using small amounts of blacks and darks, they sort of wear out or decolor themselves at different points, and you end up with vastly different colors in a black background. Well, this is all black. So either this wore very, very, very well, because the rest of it got faded. So it's a bit mysterious, this piece. But what I was going to say, you love the border on the farm rug, Ryan. That's exactly what I was going to say. What I love about this rug is we often see, even in thrift stores and stuff, I often see these pastoral type scenes, right? These farm scenes, and they are of that period. And man, do I love northern New England, and I love a farm scene in real life and on a rug. I'll take a farm scene in any form. But I do get my fill of them after a certain amount of time. And I do have some like farm scenes that are just, you know, they're not promo gowns, they're different little companies that I've never heard of before kind of thing, one-offs. And I just save them and hoard them, and I think someday maybe I want to do this kind of a country scene, but it doesn't super appeal to me, right, on the wall, right? At this moment, it doesn't super appeal to me. But I'm thinking, hey, all of the kind of patterns of red barns and covered bridges that I have, how different might they look if I did a crazy border like this? I mean, you can't really call it a keyhole border. What is this? It's like Alien from Outer Space with pointy ears border. It's really different. And you know, it's a good thing to think about, because you might have patterns that you're thinking, oh, I got it at a thrift store. I'd like to. I do too, Ruth. I do love farm scenes. I have some, and I love them. But it occurred to me that it could be interesting, and in a modern way, slightly more contemporary way too. Modern to me is almost like a bad word. But it is interesting to think about doing an odd border, right? And it doesn't have to be black in any color. It really changes the feel of the piece, doesn't it? It really changes it from being, you know, just like another covered bridge scene to being something that's like a little bit more artsy. And yeah, I mean, you could even punch the border, right? Because it'd be very monotonous hooking a big solid border and then hook the center, flip over and hook the center. You could do that. I mean, it would be really, it's just an idea. You know, we see it with hit or miss, but I don't typically see patterns that I truly believe to be cropped creatively with this like non-traditional frame shape, right? Like a shaped border on it. Completely unique and unusual. It's just an idea. When I saw this, I thought, oh, not something that would normally grab me, but whoever added this border and the little red stripey around it, really unusual. Unexpected. It's also an idea if you get a piece that somebody started, like an orphaned piece, right? And you adopt it and you're like, oh boy, I don't have the rest of these colors. Maybe this was not a good idea. Maybe I am not the right person to finish this project. Well, maybe you should try to crop it as best you can, right? I think being symmetrical is kind of important because an oddly shaped border is always a bit tricky on the eye. But anything symmetrical, and this is symmetrical, it's odd, but it's symmetrical, you could maybe finish a piece that way and just crop the parts that haven't been done yet if you don't have the right materials and colors to complete them. You could also, I just was thinking, because I was looking at that, the blue jug underneath it, like the spongeware thing, and I was thinking, you could also, like, for example, say that only the center was done. You could do like a coffee cup shape or something like that with a little country scene in it. Now, wouldn't that be interesting if someone hooked part of it? You might have to pull out a little bit, but if you are out of colors, you could do a symmetrical shape, something with perfect symmetry, or you could do a very recognizable shape, like a coffee cup, right? And that would also be super interesting and super quaint. Wouldn't that be? I mean, that to me, oh, see, now I want this piece to be a coffee cup shape. I didn't buy it, obviously, but if I did buy it, I'd be tempted. I know I'm rotten to take some of it out and hook in a little coffee cup, just because it's like a morning, country morning, waking up on the farm theme. So many ideas. I bet you have some even better ideas, but I thought, something to think about. No, on the last day that we were there, we stopped in Lancaster. I forget what town it was, but there were, I think the place was called Rensselaer, something like that. It was nutty. We saw, like, Jay has an antiques business, and we used to watch Flea Market Warriors, something like that, Market Warriors. It was a competition show with antique dealers, and they would go around to these large flea markets, indoor and outdoor, and many of them took place. I like that, Mom, right? I like that a lot. Many of them took place in Pennsylvania, and we were right here in this strip of stores. So this is one of the markets. I guess it's just a Sunday thing. Maybe it's just a Sunday thing. I'm not sure. Anyway, this man had hundreds and hundreds of pieces of vintage fabric, feed sacks, plaids, everything. The grouping of tomatoes in front, those are my tomatoes now. I found a bunch. I mean, they were like $6. I know a lot of you collect tomatoes, and you don't want to hear that, but my God, obviously I took all of them. I love a good tomato. I'm just going to remind you how much I love a good tomato. Normally when I go to antique stores and I find tomatoes, they are like a stupid, you get like 30, from time to time you get like a $30 tomato. I don't buy those, right? Too rich for my blood, but I have some tomatoes, and now I have some new tomatoes. I haven't put them into my tomato bowl yet, but the thing is to find these nice old ones, right, that have been used. And remember, I did a tomato pattern. That was my best seller, I think, until Split Garden, right, Split Bloom Garden. But I did one of the tomato because the legend of the tomato is that back in the day, I think this is an Italian-rooted idea, people were suspicious about tomatoes, and this came to the U.S. Apples were called love tomatoes, I think, for a while, but people thought that eating a tomato, and this came from Italy, was poisonous, so they avoided it until someone who was Italian showed up in some little town. I'm sure I told you the story, and just went and bit into the tomato, and everyone went, oh, and he lived. And they, oh, you can't eat the tomatoes, right? It's not poisonous. But people would leave them on the mantle because they were superstitious about tomatoes, and they believed them to ward off evil. So that's the reason that we see so many tomatoes. And now there are modern tomatoes. Dritz makes tomatoes in every color, but it's just a lot of fun to know that these are clearly older ones. I don't get ones that look like they were from yesterday. I get ones that look like they were horribly used and abused. But I like to have them together, with or without their little tomato, little strawberry counterpart. So when I saw these, I thought, you've got to be kidding me. You don't want like $30 each for these? It was a great stall. It was a lot of fun. I've got a lot of quilting stuff I'd like to do, probably over the winter, a few patterns and stuff, not just hooking with quilt fabric, but doing some quilt blocks. So maybe we can do a little bit of that together too. I love tomatoes too, with mayo and onion. On rye. Oh, I do. I'm not a tomato person, I have to say, but I like raw tomato with like basil, salt and pepper, and oil. Otherwise, I always say, hold the tomatoes. Isn't that weird? I just don't like, it's one of the few, tomatoes and peppers are my two things. I just don't like them. Unless they are cooked in so much oil, particularly like truffle oil or jalapeno oil, that they no longer taste like themselves and they taste like something spicy. Well, that's a different story altogether. This is a beautiful rug I found in that market. I think this is probably a late 19th century, early 20th century rug. I think it is a commercial pattern, but it is just beautiful. A lot of color change in the background with the black. This is what I'm talking about when you see these like stripies of the brown, right? It goes to this brown color. It reminds me of a Guinness or a black and tan with the black color and then that kind of stouty, milky brown color. Really beautiful. This is, I don't even know how much this was, but this had obviously been on the floor for a long time, right in the center of the aisle where probably thousands of people walk every week. And it made me sad about it. Everything that was associated with this particular stall was quite expensive. So I thought, oh, Mom, that sounds so good. You're making me hungry. I had yogurt for lunch. I'm trying to watch it. But now I'm getting insanely hungry, and looking at these stuffed tomatoes is not helping. But I should have checked on the price. I'm guessing it was quite a bit, and it's not in great shape, and that upsets me, but I'm certain that it's a commercial pattern. So, I was okay with leaving it. I can't take any more projects, things that are not ready to go, that aren't in good shape, or that don't have something different about them. Because as you know, I've been trying to weed through the rugs that I don't have on the walls and sell some of them and just get them out of here. Because there's too many. There's just too many, and I'm starting to feel like a hoarder. This was there too. I think this was 900. If you look at these dyeing cabinets, you know that they go for a lot. I've never seen one in as good condition as this one is. So this is, I think it was maybe even 975. He's like, I could go down to 900. I'm like, oh, you are barking up the wrong tree, man. But it was so beautiful. An original diamond dyes cabinet. The pamphlet it had never been used. It was obviously intended for a shop or general store. It's great having these original colors, right? It's like it has never even been opened. You open it, you see the original diamond colors. Very big deal. I think Diamond's factory was in Montpelier, Vermont, if I'm not mistaken. I might be mistaken. But I researched it at one point, and I felt like it was. Oh, I didn't show you the back of it, but it was really cool because if you open the back, it was see-through on both sides, and there was a different inset with text on the other side. So it would be cool if it was on a counter because a customer could open it and say, oh, I'll take the pine green, whatever, and the shop owner on the other side of the counter, the business side of the counter, could open it, the other side of it, and just grab that packet. They were packaged like Cushing dyes, right, in the little paper envelopes. So this was a really cool rug. This one stall had, I realized when I got home and I was putting the show together, this one stall had, I want to say 5 different animal rugs, and I didn't get that when I was looking at it. They were expensive. I think this one was maybe something like 200 to 300, 275 to 325, that kind of thing, I think. The guy wasn't there, and I knew I wasn't going to buy it. It's like, it seems like it was a commercial pattern. It's very familiar, but I think the person just used the clothing that they had to hit or miss the background. I think it's a remarkable piece. I absolutely love it. If I go back that way with Linda Ann on the way to Sauter Village, I will check the prices on these. I was really haggard by the end of this time. They have like a little diner in there so you can sit and have breakfast and stuff, which was great. And there was an outdoor market part of it, which I didn't even get to because I was on my hands and knees at the fabric stall. But this guy kind of hit me at the end of the day. This is one of the last stalls I saw, and I'm like, I got to get out of here and get some food. This was another one in the same stall, kind of a wacky cow. I feel like this was the same kind of price point, about 200. You can see the border is falling apart a little bit, but it really is in great shape. I would not think that this was a commercial pattern. I think this was completely original, and this one is signed. Let me just check to see if this one is signed. No, that one is not signed. Some of them are, so let's keep an eye on this. It looks like GF. I'm going to run over just a little bit. I have a few more slides. I love this lacy, scallopy back border, right? It makes you think that they're about to do a like a lamb's tongue fill, but they're not. They did a kind of a lacy, kind of gardeny, latticey feel. It's just pretty, just really, or like teeth, right? Mouth wide open, lots of little teeth. This is another one in the same stall, and I think this is the same maker, GF, right? Another animal. So we saw what looked like, what did we say that was? A cow, right? A cow or a goat. Maybe a cow, maybe a very thin cow. And a cat, right? A very happy cat at that. So absolutely beautiful work. I think this 75, I should have looked at these for longer. I really was right at the end of what I could do. And another one, I think by the same person. It's hard to tell, maybe not. I see text, but I can't really get there with it. It's partly covered up as well by the look of it. But fish. It was all in the same stall, so I'm not sure they're all the same maker. This one I had to lift that typewriter off to even take a photo of it. But yeah, I mean, another beautiful, beautiful rug with beautiful lines. I don't think this is a commercial pattern. I don't think any of these are except the dogs. And I think the dogs were a little bit older than these 3. So I think these 3 are the same person. The dogs, I'm not sure, same person. because not the dogs, yeah, no, the bulldogs, right? Because it just seems like a different style. These seem a little bit earlier, 1920s, when the silhouette was much more prominent in terms of like being a design feature. Very heavy silhouette, and then very hit or miss background. Makes me think of the Depression era, right? Like actually using what you've got instead of filling in the colors, because if this is the pattern I'm thinking it is, it has a fence behind it and like flowers and stuff. And if the person was looking at it going, I don't have enough blue for the sky, I don't have any green, I can't do that. I'm just going to do the dogs and then I'll just use what I have for the background. Just seems like a slightly different era rug than the presumed cow and the happy cat and the massive fish tank, right? All this great vertical hooking, really headed more toward mid-century with this, right? This is way more of that sort of Eames Ackerman era, mid-century, super, super stylized, really beautiful rug. Could be a commercial pattern. I just don't recognize it, but there's a lot of patterns out there. Took a photo of the back, and then this was in the same stall, this beautiful crazy quilt on a giraffe. I think this was like 300. It was just beautiful. And I always like to see a good crazy quilt. But I think it might have been the first time that I have seen a crazy quilt on a giraffe. And I thought, let me capture this moment. Let me capture it and show it to you all and see if it moves you. And this is the next antique place we went to. I don't even know what this one was called. Oh, it's Heritage. I think this is called Heritage. And I went into this stall, and as you can imagine, again, it's like a religious experience for me finding textiles in antique malls. I literally drop to my knees, and I just go through everything, and I reach for stuff that's fallen behind, because you know how much stuff has fallen behind. There is more stuff behind than there was just because of the way people shop and are not careful. But this stall with its Christmas trees, with the carolers, and with this much vintage fabric, I was down for the count. I was pretty much in here for the entire time we were in the store. I did find this rug too, $38. I probably should have gotten it. Just felt that I didn't need it, right? I don't necessarily need it. I do have kind of regrets. I might grab it if it's there next time I go through. The light background was quite dingy, and I thought, well, it's not in bad shape. I'm probably going to pull some of the white out and put in, it's still like an ivory parchment color, but in a hit or miss sort of marble cakey feel, because it was really, this is a very good photo, I have to say. I'm congratulating myself on the photo, but you can't really see how dirty it was, and it was quite dirty. And I thought, do I want a project? Because I had it in my hand, and I loved the braiding, and I loved the sort of Native American feel to it. Reminded me of the Helen Albee Abenaki rugs. And I thought, I can use this image for the book I'm working on now, because there is a Helen Albee Abenaki chapter. I love the frills with the patterned wool. That's what I really loved about it. And the wacky, like, light background. It was kind of a vehicle for a lot of scraps, wasn't it? These just few little pops. They had a lot of the light color, but a few little pops of color in the very sort of odd, very abstract, again, Native American inspired design. And then the border, right? They had a lot of the purples and the red and more of that main fabric. I don't know how they had so much, because it was wool. I don't know how they had so much of that background color, because they've used it again in the braiding, and it's a lot. So I thought, let me look one more time at that rug. I thought it was just exquisite. So I will be able to use this in the book, because I took this great photo of it, and it does remind me of an Abenaki rug. It's a bit more amateur than what Helen Albee, I think, would have been comfortable doing, but it had a lot going for it. It just, for me, was like, am I putting it on the wall? Probably not. Do I need another rolled up rug? Definitely not. So this place was called Heritage Antique Center, and it was fantastic. And it was also home to Harold the groundhog. And I realized that he was there. So I found him, and I took this great photo with Harold. He is dressed a little bit early in his holiday regalia, but hopefully I get out there again before the holidays. This was maybe the Mad Hatter. It's another one right on that strip. Beautiful hooked rug, Sunbonnet Sue, really lovely. I think that this is an original pattern. This was, I think, $175. It is mounted on like a half moon board. Had a lot of damage. I would put this in the 1920s, right around the time of Sunbonnet Sue's like Genesis, right? The books came out in like the 1910s. and the comic strip a little bit later. So I would put that right in there on the early side. I think it's an early rug. A lot of fading, a lot of use. I think it's been washed just by the textile. I think the surface of the textile, I feel like it's seen a lot. It's very smooth, nappy and smooth, if you know what I mean. I think it's seen a lot of water scrubbing. So it's amazing that it's maintained colors at all. But yeah, Sunbonnet Sue seems to have a go-go gadget arm and is reaching out to pet or to move the chickens along. Hard to tell, but really lovely. I'm not sure what the motif in the sky is. I'd love to hear your opinion on that, because I'm giving away a lot right now, but I do have a Sunbonnet Sue chapter to the second book I'm working on right now. So I do plan to use this as an image in there, because it's a lot of fun finding Sunbonnet Sue, and it is definitely a misconception that the reason Sunbonnet Sue is always off to the side is because we are at least around here, like very Puritan Yankees and very, very shy. The reason Sunbonnet Sue came about was because her mother, hi Lisa, the originator, I'm never going to think of her name off the top of my head, but that whole chapter of the book is about her. Amazing woman, interesting life. She couldn't draw faces, and that's why we get the view of the side. Nothing to do with personality, just she couldn't draw faces, and this was her solution. And a lot of people weren't comfortable with faces, so using these for quilting motifs, for doing toll painting, for hooking, for anything, you know, appeals to people who aren't that great at doing faces. This is another really cute one. I forget where this popped up. This is, I'm pretty sure, a commercial design. I'm not sure. If it's not, it's modeled after 100 different commercial designs. Very bright. This one was, I think, you're going to kill me. I didn't get this. I think this one was 12. But it was just, again, like, do I need another one? I didn't. But it was really pretty. I like the alternating red and yellow in the corners. It was not in great shape, but it was bright. Like, the texture was bad. It didn't have loss, but it was quite dirty and yet bright. So it was a bit of an oddball. It was, I'm just kind of done with commercial patterns for the time being, but it was a lovely rug. And if it was a year ago, I would have scooped that up, and that would have been my find of the trip at $12. But again, it was another high traffic area, and it's always hard for me to come to terms with buying something that has been down on the floor like a piece of garbage with any kind of price tag on it. 12 is obviously nothing. But yeah, I left that one. It is pretty. It is worthy of being taken home. And I found this basket of wool balls, which were great. I think they were $8.50 each, and I was squeezing them to figure out whether I thought like they were through and through wool, right, to use, because I would have used them. They were $8.50 each. You know, I'm thinking, how much wool could there possibly be? It was a kind of wool that was thin. It would have been better for braiding, and that's probably what it was meant for, really, than hooking. Probably likely to fray, already a bit like, you know, mucked up a little bit with the felty, linty. And I thought, oh man, I got enough problems, you know. So, but it was fun to find. These were ones that Jay took. He found these outside. These are the last 3 images. There was a vendor outside at that Rensselaer's Market, if I'm saying the right word, who had 3 mounted, really remarkable hooked rugs. This is the first of them. And he also quite liked them because they were all about $900. So beautiful hit or miss rug, maybe a husky kind of thing. Beautiful background, very, very limited neutrals color palette. Really, what it's got going for it is it's an old rug, right? I put this as a late 19th century rug. It is mounted, so it's safe. Colors are very vivid. Oh, Karen, okay, hold on. Did Sunbonnet Sue have a knife in her hand? I thought it was just no, I think you're right. Is that a knife? Oh dear. Yeah, I think you're right. I thought it was a go-go gadget arm, right? That makes no sense at all. Just like, wow, that's a little bit exaggerated. I think she is getting ready to prepare dinner. So yeah, how funny is that? Doreen agrees. I like it less now. I'm glad I didn't buy it. I mean, I love chicken, but yeah, that's real specific, isn't it? So this was a lovely rug. I wouldn't put this at I think this one was $9.50. I wouldn't put this at $9.50 at this moment. I wouldn't. It's just the value's not there. You would be buying at 3 times more what anyone else would buy it for. It is lovely. If you love it and you have the money, then he's got this rug and no one else does. So it's one of the go and find another one problems. So yeah, I mean, it's never any judgment if you buy rugs that are super expensive because you love them. If you are in that position and you are able to, you should, right? You absolutely should. I won't tell you the stupid stuff I spend money on because I don't want to have to justify it, right? Because I know it's all stupid. But a lot of it is rug stuff and supplies. But it was a beautiful rug. I just felt he thought a lot of these rugs. This was the most interesting of the three rugs for me. It's a hit or miss pattern. It's, again, I would think it would be, in terms of style, this is hard to call. In terms of style, I'd put this at 1920s, 1930s, right? Because it has that feel. It's what painters were doing at that time, what avant-garde painters were doing at this time. But it could equally be a Victorian rug where somebody was just looking for some kind of geometry in the corners and then just doing a hit or miss pattern and was just very free and wild with it. I do think it's a little bit later. I do think it's an early to mid 20th century rug. But it could be a very well kept Victorian rug also. Victorians could pattern obviously rugs in, when I say Victorians, I mean like 1880s, 1890s. Obviously the Victorian period is way longer than that bracket, but it's a gorgeous rug. It's a really important rug. Again, I didn't see these because I was at that fabric stall. So Jay took these for me, and then he said the guy was whimsical. We'll say whimsical. So he didn't get into a very long conversation, but and the guy packed up and left early. So he wanted a lot for all three of these rugs. If one of the three rugs that he had, and I'm about to show you the third and last of the slideshow today, if one of them is worth it, it's this one, in my opinion. I just think it's extraordinary. The movement, the flow, the way that it captures that amazing Sonia Delany kind of early 20th century, very theatrical, little bit cubist, lots of white. The way it captures all of those movements in one piece, I think it's a striking piece. I don't know how much of that is engineered and how much of that is accidental, but it really is a striking piece. It is, I think, a piece where if you turned it in different ways, we would do our trick of seeing different things. It's an extraordinary piece. I think this piece is definitely, I didn't see it in person, so condition-wise I couldn't say, but it looks like it's in fabulous condition, and it's just a wacky piece. I think it's exceptional. Well, I flipped through these quickly earlier, and I have to say this is also a fantastic piece. This one even looks larger. All right, I'm going to say it. I think these are both worth $900. I really do. The dog I don't think is worth that much. I would put the dog at the top, $350 at the top. You would be knowing you were buying at the top of the market at that point. But if you love the dog and you loved his little soft expression, then $300 and anything as a piece of wall art I think is a great deal. The second rug was more cubist in feel to me. This one, it still feels like a 1920s, 1930s rug to me. Has less of that cubist vibe. It's less theatrical, right? I have to say I think I even prefer this one because it has so much color loss, right? There's lots of browns and there's lots of ivories in here. I think they were once different colors. This does have a bit of a more frantic feel to the fill. Try saying that 10 times. It has a little bit of a village feel to it, like it feels like it's peaked. It could be that this is the work of an important artist who, we could hear that, we could name the artist at some point, or maybe I wish I would have gotten out there to look at the backs of them. I didn't realize until the guy was already packed up. I did go out there, but it was too late. I'll see if I can catch him again in the future. I'm wondering if they are a specific artist that we should be looking at, because honestly, these two look like they're very painterly, aren't they? I loved this one, but now I'm loving this one even more. They do look like the work of a painter. Just the use of the color, the shape. It looks very intentional, trying to make it look like a cubist village scene. They aren't framed, but they are mounted. So they are really safely mounted. All three of them were in fantastic condition. Yeah, these two are stellar. I keep looking at the painting of the girl. Like it's kind of an apples and oranges thing, isn't it? No pun intended. These are both beautiful, beautiful pieces. They're both $900 pieces. I think this is maybe even more. I mean, it looks much bigger. It looks twice as big. If this was up at auction mounted like this, looking like this, if it had provenance, I would say this is a super valuable piece in the 10,000 plus range. But if it doesn't have provenance and it's not associated with any artist colony or any particular artist or family or anything like that, I still think it's worth about $1,000. I think it's a great wall piece, and it's one of these great contemporary pieces that you could put up, as is this one, with any kind of home decor, and they would look amazing. I do love this one. I really love this one. Has a bit of Chagall to it. You know, his early Cubist work, all these lines and colors, and these are probably done by the same person. The stretched feelings of the forms to me is almost like animals leaping or birds. It makes me wonder if you turned it in a different way, if you would see birds or horses more readily. Whereas sorry, I was just having a technical thing. This one does have that villagey feel to me. It just draws me right in. And it could be that it's just 100% hit or miss, and it's all my imagination and romance kind of layering a picture onto it. But it does look like, what was his town called? Vitebsk, something like that. The town that he was originally from in Russia. And yeah, beautiful. Chagall. Thinking about Chagall still. Beautiful pieces. So lots of rugs out there. Lots of great stuff was found. I don't think I got rugs. I got some supplies. I got a beautiful paisley. I got my tomatoes. It's pretty conservative. I was a little bit tired. Got a lot on my mind with projects and work and stuff. So I was kind of like very academic in the way I was approaching and documenting. And I was doing so many videos over those days that I was kind of like turning into a video machine where it's like I just want to document stuff for here so we have great content, something different. And I wasn't really in a shopping mode, which isn't a bad thing. Thanks, Mom. So that was fun. It was fun to do that together with you. I always wish when I'm traveling around through stores and stuff, and sometimes I'm lucky enough to have a friend with me, you know, and I do love the live videos too that we sometimes do. So Rebecca's coming tomorrow, and I'm going to pick her up, and we're going to do a cocktail night tomorrow night together. Rebecca Martin and I, Rebecca from Storyteller Wool. And she'll have lots of pieces to show you, lots of beautiful work to show you. Wait till you see her work if you're not familiar with it. She's bringing, I think, her nautical scene that she's teaching on the boat, right? The main boat ride that's been sold out forever. But we're going to get like a couple of surprises. I'm going to keep my mouth shut because she's got a couple of surprises. Really important pieces that are going to be very visible very soon. So we're doing that tomorrow. And then about a week later, my friend Linda Ann comes, and she's going to be with me for a while. We are going to tear it up. We're going to go to Sauder together. We're going to go to the Cape for another week. We're going to do a bunch of things together. So I'll be in a great position during those days to run shows, to do live shows, to do lots of videos again. So I'm just kind of like catching up now. And then there will be lots more summer times where we do lots of little road trips, book signings. I'll keep you abreast of everything. And yeah, it's all happening. It's all coming at us very quickly. Thank you for joining me at an odd time. Oh, Colleen says, I so enjoyed getting to meet you, and Jay, thank you for fitting me into your. It was our pleasure and our honor to be in your studio. I just felt bad because it was like late at night. You know, we do like our hit list of things that we have planned in our heads, and then it got really late. Distances were a little bit further than I thought, but not you. You were right there in that adorable town northeast. And it was so much fun to be with you. I can't wait till we can be together again. I really can't. I really feel like that trip with the Wilmingtons and everything, it felt like family to me. I'm like, we're doing this all the time. And I know that Dee, and I don't know if any of the other Wilmingtons go, I know she does that Hallmark thing every year, the Hallmark Christmas thing, where she goes to like the convention and she takes the photographs with people. I said, make sure that you don't leave me out of that. Give me all of the details on that because I would love a piece of that this Christmas. Lots of adventures on the horizon. So I will see you tomorrow night for cocktail night at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And again, I'll be coming to you with Rebecca Martin from Storyteller Wool. I cannot wait. Have a great tomorrow, everybody, and I will see you at 7 p.m. Be sending me your gallery stuff for the following Friday. All of your projects, all of your ideas, whatever you want to send me, ribboncandyhooking@gmail.com. You can reach me there anytime. I will see you tomorrow night.